Namaskar and hello and welcome to NCERT's live phone-in program once again. This is an English session for class 8 students, but because it's a story and it's English, so anyone and everyone can watch this session and enjoy and grasp as per knowledge, as much knowledge as possible. So the topic that we are going to deal in this particular session is the best Christmas present in the world. You can think about a lot of things about the presents, about Christmas. There are so many memories attached with this festival and gifts. When we talk about gifts, there's a lot we can think of, and especially children, they have a lot of demands, a long list of gifts that they want from their parents and from their relatives as well. So this particular text, we are going to understand this text and also learn the language. By language, I mean we are going to get into the grammar of it and we will explain, sir will explain. So let's meet our expert for this session. We have with us Professor R. Meghnathan. Welcome, sir.
So good afternoon, Namaskar, good afternoon Tanvi. Learners of class 8th, we will do the first lesson, a short story, the best Christmas present.
Yes, sir. We will begin the session in a short while. Just I want to tell our viewers that if you have any doubts, you want to share your stories regarding this lesson or any other lesson, then you can simply write them down and send it on our email ID, which is ciet.kishoremanch@gmail.com. You can even call us with all your queries. The numbers are 1800-112199 and 1800-111-265. So we'll be expecting your calls throughout next 45 minutes, and you're watching us live on SWAYAM Prabha's channel number 31, Kishore Manch. You're also watching us live on YouTube. Our channel is NCERT official. You can write your comments, your suggestions, your queries in the conversation box of our YouTube channel, and we'll be getting them instantly and our expert will be answering them instantly as well. Let's begin with this discussion. Sir, so what chapter is this to begin with?
Okay, good, interesting question. You know, this is a very moving story, short story,
okay,
and modern short story, and it also has historical relation, connotation, and personal psychological issues.
Okay.
So let's say, so let's begin by asking you a question. You get some gifts and presents during your birthday celebration or some other thing, even Independence Day celebration and all. Which present so far you got you like the most?
There are various presents I got, but I liked the guitar I've been gifted.
Oh, by whom?
My parents.
Oh, great, that's good. That's a big thing for you. Okay, then that's the best gift.
Yes.
So have you given any gift to anybody, present to anybody?
Yeah, to a lot of people.
On their birthdays and all?
On their birthdays, on Diwali.
So someone, learners, you also must have got some gift present during your birthday or some other occasions or some festivals, and also you must have given some gifts. So think of it, and why do we give a present, a gift to anyone?
To make the other person happy,
and you also feel happy.
Yes.
So here is, this story is about a Christmas present, but unusual, different, strange present.
Okay.
The narrator gives to somebody. So let's get into the story to understand what is that gift. Fine.
Okay.
All right, learners, you must have read the story, the best Christmas present in the world, class 8th first lesson from this book, Honeydew. Or please read after this, then come back to the YouTube channel, again watch it and do the text. This is the best way to understand the text. If you have not read it, watch it again. Now look at it. Before I move on to some more the story, let me ask you some of the dates, because the story has some, I said, historical connotation, historical connections. I am going to put your GK into some question.
Oh God.
So you will have to answer. I am not expecting everybody would know, because class 8 children and we need not know every date. Some dates we will know. Come on, let's look at the slide there. July 4th, 1776.
4th of July is the Independence Day of United States. If
Yes.
I'm
Oh,
not
great.
wrong.
I must salute you. It was the Declaration of American Independence.
Yeah.
So the year 1789, that is 1789.
Not sure.
No problem. That was the French Revolution.
Okay.
Another revolution which shook the world. Okay, and changed the idea of liberty, freedom. Then 6th August 1945.
Again, no idea.
Yeah, that was the day that Hiroshima was bombarded with atom bomb. Okay.
Okay.
You must be wondering why I am asking all those dates. Years between 1914 to 1918.
That's World War One.
Yeah, World War One, First World War. Then years between 39 to 44.
That's World War Two.
World War Two. Okay. The two world wars which devastated the world.
Yeah.
Then, and of course the other things you must be knowing very well.
Yeah.
15th August 1947.
That's our Independence Day.
India won its independence. And 26th January 1950.
That's our Republic Day.
India became republic, that we declared to ourselves and to the world that we are republic, we will be ruling ourselves by elected mandate.
Yes.
Then 30th January 1948, there was a mistake there, 1948, that what was the date?
That's
Let's move on to this camera. 30th January 1948. Let us move on to the camera. There is a mistake there. I always commit mistakes. So 1948. What was it?
That's Mahatma Gandhi
Was assassinated. So Mahatma Gandhi was martyred. So then 20th July 1967.
67 or
Sorry, 69. Sorry.
Not sure again.
Okay, that was the day Neil Armstrong landed along with the moon, on moon. Fine, learners and Tanvi. So this story has connection with the First World War.
Okay.
The story takes place during the First World War. So that's the best thing of the story. We should know First World War, Germany, Italy, Japan, again some more countries, USA, England. Of course, the Soviet Union was just formulated, so it withdrew from the war. So it was a very fierce war which devastated the world. Okay, so this story happens situated in the during the mid of First World War. Come on, let's read the summary or the subtext to the learners. You will read alternatively. Okay. So you let me request you to read. So sure, you can see this one slide there. Let the learners say, come on, let's read.
So, okay, I'll begin. We'll summarize the story. The first point is the narrator went to a junk shop in Bridport where he noticed a roll-top desk. He wanted to buy a cheaper one and bought this roll-top desk with his very little money.
Okay, it was an old one. He wanted to make it look good and to polish it. He polished it. He removed the roll top and pulled out the drawers.
Okay. He polished the scratches and he noticed a secret drawer underneath, and something was written there in shaky handwriting. In inverted commas, Jim's last letter, received January 25th, 1915, to be buried with me when the time comes.
So it was a letter from Jim, that only we know. Then when the narrator opened the box, there was an envelope inside it, and the address written read was Mrs. Jim Macpherson, 12 Copper Beaches, Bridport, Dorset. The date in the letter was December 26th, 1914.
Okay.
Come on. Now let's move on to the next one. Yeah.
The narrator read the letter. The letter was written by Jim from the battlefield in 1914 to his wife. It was on the Christmas Eve.
The letter described how the soldiers and officers from two different battling armies, enemy armies, came together to celebrate the Christmas Eve.
The British and German soldiers who were fighting against each other in World War I till then wanted to come together to celebrate Christmas.
So Jim was the commander of the Allied forces, that is British and US forces. One of his officers, Fritz, began it by showing the white flag and wishing the other side Happy Christmas. Tommy, Happy Christmas.
So I'm assuming Tommy must be the
Other
officer of the German side.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
So next point would be soldiers from the other side reciprocated, responded, saying, "Same to you."
There was shouting, "Don't shoot, lads," from both the sides. They compromised. Okay.
Okay.
Then.
Jim and an officer from the other side sat together and ate Christmas cake and shared their drinks. They were chatting for some time and talked about their places, their civil jobs.
Okay. Soldiers from both the armies played football, and Jim's team won by 2-1, and then soldiers moved to their barracks back.
Okay.
So that's one. Then.
When the narrator finished reading the letter, he folded it and put it in the envelope back.
Fine. Next morning, he drove into Bridport to find Mrs. Jim McPherson and asked her for her at the address. People there said she has been admitted into hospital nearby.
Okay. The narrator went to the hospital where the very old lady was admitted. She looked very pale and was 101 years old. He handed over the letter to her.
The lady started speaking to him, thinking that it was Jim, and she felt happy that Jim had come back to be with her on the Christmas Eve, as he assured. Now, learners, let's see. The story did not tell us whether she actually identified Jim, but she was talking to him assuming Jim. That's what we have inferred.
Right.
Okay. Now look at the picture there. The narrator finds the secret box. Then narrator hands over the letter there. You can see. Learners, look at these illustrations. I am going to give you some activities at the end if you have time. Now, learners, we have read the story, and I assume that we know the story. Come on, now let's do something. Let's come to the camera. We will do something here. I am going to read out some of the statements. We have to say, based on your reading and understanding of the story, whether they are true or false. Come on, let's look at the story.
All right.
Yeah. Narrator wanted to buy a Christmas present with his little money. True or false?
That's true.
Fine. Then he went to a fashion shop to buy a Christmas present.
No, that's false. I think he went to a junk shop.
Yes, great. He went to a junk shop to buy the present with his little money.
That's true.
True. Okay. Then he noticed a roll top desk in the junk shop and bought it.
Yes, that's true.
That's also true. He noticed a letter in the secret box of the roll top box.
That's again true.
Fine. Then the letter was addressed to Mrs. Jim McPherson.
Right.
That's also true. Then the letter described the war between the British and the Germans.
No. No, it described about the Christmas celebration.
Okay, the letter.
Yeah, the letter.
Okay, I take it. I was thinking so far it was true. Okay, the letter never described about war. You are right. Great. It described the celebration of Christmas together by two warring armies in the battlefield.
That's true.
Fine.
That's exactly what it described.
Fine. The narrator wanted to find the address of the letter and took to the address mentioned in it.
That's true. He did that.
Fine. He could not find the address of Mrs. Jim McPherson.
No, that's false.
Fine.
He actually found Mrs. Jim McPherson in the hospital.
Okay. He found the address of Mrs. Jim McPherson and was told that she has been admitted into hospital.
That's true. Exactly true.
True. Then fine. The narrator went to Burlington Nursing Home and met Mrs. Jim McPherson.
That's true.
That's also true.
Yes.
Fine. Then he handed over the box to her as Christmas present.
Yes, that's true.
Then the old lady thought that the narrator was Jim and told him that he would come to her again for the Christmas Eve.
Yeah, that's true.
Fine.
She thought that one.
The narrator told Mrs. Jim McPherson that he was not Jim.
Now that's dicey because we don't know.
But he never said.
He
no?
never mentioned any such thing.
So
That's
I'm taking
false.
it as false. Fine.
Yeah.
All right.
So before we go further, I just wanted to tell you that our viewers are watching this session and they are replying simultaneously.
Great, great.
They even replied to the years you mentioned,
Oh.
all those years, and also they are they're saying that they have read the story already.
Oh, great.
And one of the persons, one of the viewers, Rajni Gupta,
Oh.
she's asking, is this story actually real?
Yes, to some extent. There is no evidence to say. I was also looking for it, but there are many such stories during First World War, Second World War.
Okay.
Let me tell you, any whole event which affects the whole world, like even now we hear a lot of stories about people suffering in the pandemic, and lots of bad things also happening. So how this should be also written as short story. So when when literature happens when something extraordinary occurs, and people record that.
Yeah.
So First World War had lots of literature, and how people were perishing, how people were suffering, and that became a lesson, moral, psychological and historical lesson to people.
Okay.
There are lots, like same way India Pakistan partition, a huge literature came.
Yes.
Poetry, short stories, many things. I know you must have seen that that's a movie which also came. That famous writer, Urdu writer,
Manto?
Manto
Yes.
wrote a lot of short stories based on
He
partition. That's what. So learners, thank you for that the asking question. You also Google and find out or consult the things in the library and to find out whether they are true or not. Okay, fine.
Okay.
Come on.
So a few more things. So they were even replying to the true and false along with us.
Good.
And also one of the viewers, he's asking, can you describe the word pale? She was pale.
She was pale. Okay, she was pale because see, imagine a person with 101 years old, 101 year old. So how she would look like? She was weak. So she is pale and feeble, weak, and looks also slightly paler, means whiter. So you can see how a weak person at the age of 101
with
looks
all
like.
the wrinkles and a thin lady.
Yes.
So
Okay, now since the student learner has asked, let us look at the three characters in the story. Here it appears. Let's look at the camera here. Yeah, here is Mrs. Macpherson. You will have to, learners, you also will have to supply adjectives, some words to describe her. Come on, let's look at it. Come on. One word has come out already. She is pale. Okay, then
I think old.
Oh, very old. You also said something else.
Wrinkled.
Lot of wrinkle. You said she is wrinkled. Okay, lot of wrinkles. Wrinkled. Nice. You used it as
So wrinkled. KLED.
Oh, sorry. Wrinkled. Fine. Any other learners? Come on, try. Okay. Any other?
Weak.
Weak. Let us also look at. She was.
I am reading what the viewers are replying.
Yes.
Thin.
Huh?
Thin.
Thin. Fine.
Rajni Gupta said thin. Then Kirti Shirsat said weak.
Weak. Fine. Great.
And weak has been replied by many. Old.
Okay. Old. Fine. We have said it already.
Yes.
Then look at the other traits. Her psychological traits. She was with it full of faith and hope. No.
Hopeful.
Hopeful because she thought that
Jim is back.
Jim will be coming back. Fine. So lot of
Excited.
Yeah, excited to see him. Okay.
That he's back on Christmas Eve.
Yes, fine. Thank you. Now look at Jim. If Jim were to be alive, and Jim, what kind of character is Jim?
A soldier.
A soldier. Okay. An officer. Fine. Then learners, what do they say?
A man in uniform.
Yeah, man in uniform. Then
brave.
Brave. Also, is he not peace loving?
Peace loving. Yes.
Yes.
Going by the story.
Yes. Lovely husband.
Lovely husband.
Yes.
That's true.
Yes. Then
Then a kind person.
kind. He never liked war.
Yeah.
Yeah, but he was forced to fight a war.
A young man.
Yeah, a young man. Okay. Now I am going to ask you one more thing. How is the narrator of this story? Generally narrators don't take part much in the story, but here he is a character in the story.
Yeah.
So what kind of person? He read the, suppose if I had seen a box in which some letter, I don't mind. I may throw it, but he didn't do that.
Then the first word that comes to my mind is curious for
So
him.
He is curious. Fine. Learners, come on, find out.
So Akhilesh Arya has said poor because he went for a cheap gift.
Fine, fine. Naturally, yes, yes.
Then shocked, Dipali has said shocked because he read the letter and
Yeah, it has been kept. No, the dialogue on the box is to be buried with me. Yeah. Then.
okay. Honest, Ravi has said honest.
Yeah, really honest, because he would have simply ignored it, but he took the letter to the lady and found the address and handed over. Fine. Then. Any other? Fine. All right. He also was loving, because he wanted to see this old lady.
Yeah.
He must have ignored it. He must have trivialized it. Okay. Fine. Learners, keep this in mind. We will come back to discuss how to write a description of the person you are read or you are watching. Fine. Now look at, I am going to ask you some more questions. Learners, be ready. Some multiple choice questions, best way to test your comprehension of the text. So come on. The narrator wanted to buy a Christmas present.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Fine. Even before asking the other one, you answered. Fine. Then the next one. What did the narrator find in the secret box? A letter, painting, a jewel, or nothing?
A letter.
A letter. Okay. Fine. Then to whom the letter in the box was addressed to? To the narrator, an army officer, or Mrs. Jim Macpherson, or Mr. Jim?
It's Mrs. Jim Macpherson.
Good. C. What was written in the letter? The letter described the Christmas celebration of two enemy armies. The letter described the fight between two armies. The letter described the life of Mrs. Jim Macpherson. The letter described the life of the narrator.
It's A. The letter described the Christmas celebration of two enemy armies.
Fine. The narrator wanted to hand over the roll-top desk to Mrs. Jim Macpherson to present to one of his relatives, to sell it to a junk shop, or keep it in his house.
It's A again. Hand over the roll-top desk to Mrs. Jim.
I should not have given all A's right. Okay, that the next time I will change. The narrator found that Mrs. Jim Macpherson was in hospital, or Mrs. Jim Macpherson was in her home, or she was not alive, or she left the town and went to the village.
It's A.
Okay, it's
She
again
was
A.
in the hospital.
Yes. Then, what did she think of the narrator when he handed over the letter? She thought the narrator was Jim, or she thought that the narrator was her son.
No.
She thought the narrator was the physician in the hospital, that the doctor.
No.
She thought that the narrator was a stranger.
No. It's A again. She thought it was Jim,
Okay, fine.
her husband.
Thank you, Tanvi, and thank you, learners, for having participated in all this. Now let's get into some grammar. So if you look at our textbook, it's well structured. Learners, you have been using it, but let's also understand this way. That is, there's a text, then we call it working with the text, that is comprehension questions and understanding of the text, then followed by thinking about language. So when you do grammar, what you do, you are conscious of the usage and the use. So you think about language. So we have named it working with the words, that is vocabulary. So please understand, learners, when it says that thinking about language, it's how you use. So it's like driving. You sit and watch somebody, you read, and understanding is just driving. Then you get into the mechanics of the technology of driving. So why steering is this way. So we should know both, we call it form, the grammar, otherwise the meaning. So we should know the meaning as well as form. So let's see some of the some grammar item. Today we will see how past perfect is used in context. So this lesson has a lot of past perfect usages. So read the following sentences which you have read in the story. Come on, could you?
Sure. Okay. I spotted it in a junk shop in Bridport. The man said it was made in the early 19th century. This one was in a bad condition.
Fine. Look at the underlined words there. When did these actions taking place? When did the action take place?
Spotted, said, was. All in the past tense.
Fine. All right. This is simple past. So now let's look at it. I have to say two past events. How will I say? Read the sentence now.
Okay. The veneer had lifted almost everywhere. Both fire and water had taken their toll on this desk.
Fine. What is veneer? Veneer is this upper layer of the desk. So they polish it with some plywood or something. So that is what the veneer had lifted almost everywhere. Both fire and water had taken their toll on this. So look at the verb forms there. Had lifted, had taken. So they had taken place in the long past, is it?
Right.
Yes, sir. Before he bought it. So these are all an action in the long past before an action. So we will come to that to discover the rules. Now learners, I am going to ask you again, put you into some challenge of asking some questions. Look at it. Come on, please, let's read Tanvi, these sentences.
Sure, sir. Last week I told my friends that I would visit them. Last year I visited Mumbai. It was a great experience. I was the captain of our school hockey team when I was in class 11th.
Fine.
I lived in Bengaluru during 2002 to 2004.
Oh, sorry. No, fine, thank you. Now look at the underlined words. All of them denote
Past.
past. Okay. Now,
Sir, one of our viewers, he's asking, can you describe past perfect tense?
okay, we are going to work, then arrive at the rules. I'll tell you. So for you quickly, I tell you. I shouldn't say it, but still, if there are two actions in the past, and the earlier action we say use past perfect. The best example is when I reached the station, the train had already left.
Okay.
Which action took place first? The train had already left. So we use past perfect for the earlier action in the past. There are two actions. Okay. I am coming to you, whoever has asked the question. Now let's read some more sentences. Come on, some task for you.
Okay. Our teacher had told us to submit assignment, but he forgot it.
When did he forget? Later. Which was the first action? Come on, let's look at the paper there, the sentences there. Our teacher had told us to submit the assignment, but he forgot it. So let's show the camera there. Our teacher had told us to submit the assignment and he forgot it. Okay. Which action had taken place first?
The first one, that the teacher told
them to submit the assignment.
Yes.
Then look at next one. Rahul met his friend at the station as he had promised. When did he promise?
He promised first.
Yes,
and then he forgot.
And then he met. Okay.
Then he met.
Vanita had finished her work and went to play. So first she finished her work.
Finished her work. Right.
So learners, the first action in the past we use past perfect. Okay. I shouldn't say the rule first, but again I am saying it. When I reached the station, the train had already left. Okay, you know that, we have discussed.
Right.
When I finished the work, the teacher had already left.
Okay.
So by the time we finished, teacher had already gone. Okay. Now look at some more sentences. So please read.
Okay. He wrote answer to the last question. The bell had already rung.
Because bell rang before he wrote the last question.
Okay. The police officer saw them violating the traffic before they had reached the point.
Okay. So he noticed it. Fine.
Yeah.
Okay. I promised to help her, but I could not do it. So I had promised before, but I could not do it.
Okay. When Gandhiji had called for action, the people of this country supported him.
Okay. They started after his. Okay. Now that's easy to read out. Now we will have to do the activities here.
Okay.
Okay. Here is the task for you learners. You may reply on our YouTube chat box. So I am going to read out. Tanvi is there representing you. So I am going to put her into task. Okay. The school assembly had become quite well before the headmaster reached or had reached.
So the first action was the school assembly had become quite well before the headmaster reached.
Okay. So first
going
action.
by the rule.
Oh, yes, good. So when I reached or had reached the station, the train had arrived.
When I reached the station, the train had arrived.
Learners, you may check whether Tanvi is right or not. Okay. So when I saw or had seen him, he moved or had moved out of the school.
So he moved out first.
Yes.
So when I saw him, he had moved out of the hotel.
Okay, great. That's fine. Then now, notice. I noticed or had noticed the difference before they told or had told me.
Okay. So I had noticed the difference before they told me.
Okay, fine. Alright, learners, there are two actions in the past. The earlier action is said in past perfect and the later action in past. So when I entered or had entered the house, my brother went or had gone to play.
When I entered the house,
yes,
my brother had gone to play.
Okay, he had already gone.
Yeah, he had already gone.
Our captain asked or had asked the team to exercise. Many of us had started doing it.
So the captain asked first. When our captain had asked the team to exercise.
Check it.
So many of us started doing it. So when the captain asked first.
Yes. No, they started doing it before. I can also take it that way.
Okay. Yeah.
So when the captain asked
the team to exercise, many of us had started doing it.
Yeah, both the way are right. You have to fix the action, prioritize the action.
Okay.
Okay, fine. Now let's look at it.
So these exercises are actually interesting and they make your brain work.
So there are two things, learners. One is you read for meaning. When you read when you read something or when you say something like when I reached the station, the train had already left. So when in conversation you are only looking for meaning. So meaning is first in language learning. Then once analyze in order to learn appropriately, seriously, then you notice the form. The form is the grammatical form or the how a word is used, because suppose for an example the word call on is different from call out, call in. So why this call on, call in, call out are different? So then you notice conscientiously. So in language learning you must move from meaning first, then discover the form. Right. That's what learners we have been trying to do. I started with example. One learner there had already asked
the past perfect.
So I have explained it. So it's not necessary to explain in the beginning. So now you have asked how past perfect is used. Come on, let's look at the paper here. There are two actions in the past, learners: later action and earlier action. So which is the later action? Come on, let's take the example. Will you read out?
Sure. When I reached the station, the train had already left.
So earlier action is train
had left.
Okay. Then later action is
the person reached.
Okay. So past perfect tense is used to refer to an action before an action in the past.
Okay.
There are two actions. The earlier action is said in past perfect, and not necessarily they have to past perfect and past have to be together. Something he had done it years ago. So after that he did many things. You can simply say only by using past perfect. He had done his graduation in 1980s. So after that he did many things. So generally they are used. You can use it in together in context. So he, look at the example there on the paper. He had told me beforehand.
So here there is no comparison between the present action and the past action.
There are
it's
two.
just one. So had told has been used.
Yes.
He had told me beforehand.
Yeah.
Okay.
So let us, I am going to ask you learners and Tanvi to do some more before we move on to some other aspect.
Okay.
Then again same thing, why the same thing is repeated here. When I reached the station, the train had already left, because it is a classic example.
Yeah.
So some classic example of the sun rises in the east for simple present. Then next.
When I entered the theatre, he had started his speech.
Okay, when I entered the theatre, he had started his speech.
Yeah.
Then
Gandhiji had earned the respect of people even before India got its independence.
Yes. All right.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Now, my sorry, my brother. There is a mistake. My brother. Yeah.
My brother had started doing a job even before he completed his degree.
Fine. All right. Earlier action, later action, learners. Okay. And let us go back to whatever we have said about learners. Some toss for you. Let's look at the camera again. Still we have time. Learners, what we do is as a kind of homework. Actually, it is a real homework. You are sitting at home. So, learners, what we do is we simply take up this one. Look at the camera here, the paper. There are 3 characters we have discussed. Can you now say some sentences, Tanvi? We only described them in terms of adjectives. Come on, let's look at the paper, the camera there, here. So let's look at the character first. Let me take this Mrs. Macpherson, Jim Macpherson. So learners, come on, let's say some 5 sentences describing her.
Okay. Can I try a few?
Yes, please. You are representing the learners there, students there.
So should I say it in the past tense?
In whatever way you want.
She was sitting on a wheelchair.
Fine. Use those adjectives.
Oh,
yeah,
using
fine.
these adjectives.
Yeah, no issue, anything. Yeah.
An old lady was sitting in a wheelchair.
Fine. She looked.
She was hopeful that her husband has come back.
Okay.
She was weak. That's why she was in the hospital.
Fine.
Her pale skin was dry.
Fine.
And
say something with that wrinkles, old, or you can use your own sentences, your own adjectives.
She must have been a beautiful lady back then.
Fine, great, good assumption. Must have been true, I agree, because Jim must have written that kind with love and this one, affection. Yeah.
She is thin and her hair has been packed in a bun.
Fine. Okay. One more character we will try to describe, learners. Come on, I'm expecting, I believe that you are all also doing, because we can take this into a good write-up also, writing. Yeah.
So there are a few sentences which our viewers have given.
Oh, good.
One of them is, Tanusha is saying her face is fully wrinkled.
Very good.
And then Kirti is saying she has wrinkles on her face.
Fine.
Similar.
Okay, learners. Thank you very much. Then here is about. Let us describe the narrator. Fine. All right. So you can also describe this way, learners. Then we have come to the close of this probably
yes, sir.
time.
So maybe we can give this assignment to
Please,
our viewers.
Write a description of these 3 characters. Then before we close, Tanvi, I am going to request you to read out the learning outcomes of this lesson. So which appears on the screen, the slide there. Come on, let's see the slide there. With that we will close it.
Okay.
Yeah, please. Come on. Here are the learning outcomes of the lesson. This is for the information of learners, teachers, and as well as parents, so that we know what we are learning. Please go ahead.
Read textual, non-textual materials in English, Braille with comprehension. Identify details, characters, main idea and sequence of ideas and events in textual, non-textual material. Use appropriate grammatical forms in communication, that's noun, pronoun, verb, determiners, time and tense, passivization, adjective, adverb, etc. Organize sentences coherently in English in Braille with the help of verbal and visual clues and with a sense of audience.
Okay, learners, you must have, parents, you must have been thinking that why a lot of outcomes, because this outcome is the amalgamation as a result of comprehension, many readings.
Right.
So, a class 8th learner is expected to have all these competencies. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you so much, sir, for
Thank
this
you.
wonderful session. And the participants who were with us throughout the session, thank you so much to all of you as well. If you want to write the description that sir has given you for the narrator and for the soldier as well, you can write it down and send it on our email ID. Maybe we can take it in our next session. That's ciet.kishoremanch@gmail.com. Thank you so much. And let me tell you, the next session we have is a biology session. The topic is respiration in organisms. So please stay there, don't go anywhere, stay healthy, take care of yourself. Namaste.